So now we're going to go on to another subject here. In Jewish astrology, a cosmic science, Torah, Talmud, and Zohar works on spiritual astrology. And understand that there's a way to understand astrology which is purely spiritual. Now in the last year, let's come over here and let's see, we're in permutations of God's name. Let me see if I can find the place. Here. Let's go on to what we were at. We were talking about permutations of God's names and understanding that in Jewish astrology, this is where it starts. It starts with the name of God, that is how we call it Havaya, and how you can make combinations of that level, of that name. So he says the fifth level of Adam's chart has 12 permutations of God's name. It starts with Yud Kei Vav, which is this name. So even if you don't understand Hebrew, you could just say, well, these are lines and blocks, and you could start switching them around. There are different kinds and combinations. And yet it has 4 letters. Now, he says usually 4 letters would give you 24 permutations. So this would be a kasha, what we call in Hebrew a kasha. He says there's 12 tribes, and they're based on the name which has 4 letters in it. 4 letters produces not 12 names, but it produces 24. But because 2 of the letters are the same, that is 2 times 2 hays, 2 of this letter that looks like this, we divided the total by 2, and there are only 12 unique permutations of God's name. And these 12 permutations, now exactly how that worked out mentally, but that's actually what actually happens. So he's saying what actually happens is you take the 24 and you divide it by 2, because there's 1 extra hay. So we'll take it out, then you only have 3. So let's see how this grows. So 3 times. So he's on these permutations. What did he say? 3 stones build 6 houses. So you only have 3 letters, and 4 stones build 24. That's what he said previously. So, and these 12 permutations, now we're to understand that you divided the 24 by 2, will affect each month. It will affect the sign, the hour of the day. So, for example, the first 3 months in the chart of Adam have a permutation where the first letter of God's name begins with the letter Yud. So let's go back over and let's see if I can get it back. And here is the first name, begins with Yud. Then the next month, which is May, let's say Taurus, is another Yud. Next month is Gemini, which is going to be another Yud. And we're going to see there's going to be 3 that are going to begin with Hey. And then there's going to be 3 that are going to be, I don't know if you could see this, how well you could see this. They're going to begin with the letter Vav. And then there's going to be 3 that's going to begin with the letter Hey again. So this we have to all understand. These are different combinations of, again, the light of God. He's explaining it really explaining it good to me. So he says, the Yud stands, so for example, the 3 months on the chart of Adam have a permutation where the first letter of God's name is the letter Yud. It stays in first place, and the other 3 letters, which are Hey, Vav, and Hey, they get permuted into 3 words, which are Yud, Ke, Vav, Ke, Yud, Ke, Ke, Vav, and Yud, Vav, Ke, Ke. That's how we pronounce this. So then you go Sivan, which is Gemini. So he says that you have, and this, I think I missed something, stays in the first place, and the other 3 letters permuted in 3 words, which are Yud Ke Vav Ke, which is Nisan Aries, Yud Ke Ke Vav, which is Iyar Taurus, and Yud Vav Ke Ke, which is Sivan Gemini. So he says, so basically the Vav switches its position, so the Vav, the first season of the year, which is spring, has its energy flowing, coming from God's name, starting with the letter Yud. And the first, so he says letter Yud, and the first month of the year is the month of Nisan, which is also Aries, the month in which the children of Israel were taken out of Egypt. So by the name Yud Ke Vav Ke. So you see the name Yud Ke Vav Ke is the name of escape, the name of going forward. So the second season of the year, which is summer, which is now starting into summer, has 3 permutations starting with the first letter Hey in God's name. And it would start like this. It would be H K Vav K Yud, K Vav Yud K, and then K K Yud Vav. So they go like this, is that the first one would be K Vav K Yud would be Cancer, K Vav K Yud is what K Hey, which we call Leo, and K K Vav Yud Vav, which would be Virgo. Now, it is possible, he's saying, that you could make a drush and understand what the differences are between how the letter combinations affect each other. So the first Hey in God's name rules the summer. The second letter Hey in God's name rules the winter, and the letter Vav in God's name rules the autumn. Where is our source for this tradition of the connecting the 12 permutations of God's name with the 12 months of the year? We find this again in the Tikkuni Zohar written by Rebbe Sheva Bar Yochai. There he shows where each of the 12 permutations of God's name is hinted to in the holy writings of the 24 books of the Tanakh. In Kabbalah, the first letter or the last letter of each consecutive word in a sentence are combined to reveal deeper meanings embedded in the sentence. Now, you will see like this is called a pasuk, and the first letter of the pasuk, which is another word for a sentence, is going to be important. You may have a sentence that, say, has 4 letters, so you may look at all 4 of the letters, and you'll see the combination. We could do things with those combinations. It's also true of the last letters. This is well established and ancient technique used throughout Torah. For example, in Tehillim, he gives us an example. He has Yisbechah Shemaim, the heavens shall rejoice. Let's see, we'll get his translation in a minute. B'tagel la'aretz. So he says the heavens will be glad and the earth will rejoice. So he said you had Yud, K, Vav, K are the first letters of this sentence. In this 4-word sentence, we see that by combining the first letter of each word, we arrive at the permutation of God's name, Yud Kei Vav Kei. So he's saying what? That there is a strong link here between the meaning of the sentence and this permutation of God's name, which happens to be the permutations of the name of Sodi associated with Aries and spring. Now understand that he's telling you, Yismach Shemayim, that when spring comes, Yismach Shemayim, the heavens rejoice, B'tagel ha'aretz, and they will be happy. So rejoicing and all of this gladness. So I said, permutation can be constructed either using either the first letter or the last letter of each word in that sentence. If the first letter of each word are used to construct a permutation, then this indicates energies of chasadim, which is mercifulness. So let's read it again. If the first letter of each word are used to construct a permutation, so just like we see here's the Yud, K, Vav, K. So you could also do Vav, Mem, Lamed, Tzadi. So you could do that too. So he said, but we're going to just do the first letters. The first letters, when you have that, it's a concept of chesed, and which is mercifulness. And if the last letters of each word in the sense are used to construct a permutation, then this indicates energies of din, or severity, or constriction, or punishment. 12 sources from the Torah make up this tradition. There are 12 different places in the Torah that we see this condition. So he says in all of these, in 6 of these sources, the permutations are constructed from the first letter of each word, indicating months and signs that are more merciful. And in the 6 other sources, the permutations are constructed using the last letters of the word, indicating months and signs that are more judgmental and critical and tougher. I'm going to list the 12 sources for the 12th months and permutations, and next time we will go into their meaning in more depth. So here we are. Let's see if there. Let me just see. I think this is on 2 pages, and I'm going to have to bring it up so we can see it in this this book. So he says there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and here are the rest are 10, 11, and 12. Let's read what he says about it. So he says we have this pasuk. So I guess we'll look at it from about from here. How's that look? He says the heavens will be glad and the earth will rejoice. In Hebrew, this is Yisbech Shemayim B'Sagel Haaretz. So this is a Tehillim or a Psalm, Numbers 96, verse 11. Then we see that this psalm goes along with the concept of the name Yud Kei Vav Kei, And that name works for the month of Aries, for the time of Aries, which is in the month of Nisan. Now, let's see if we got this all on the page. Okay, keep working on my, I think you could get focused that way too. Okay, so it says, so that's what you have in Nisan. Then we have this phrase, Yishalel hamishalel hasecha v'yeda. For only if this may one glorify oneself, contemplating and knowing me. Can't you get close to the name Yud Kei Vav Kei? So here you name once again Yud Kei Kei Vav. This is going to be the next month. The light shines through, the light of the whiteness shines through the black letters. It changes them, but it makes them more physical. So he says, hey, this is a quote from Jeremiah. And this is what the letters would look like, the first letters, Yud, K, K, Vav, which is Taurus and Iyar. Let's go on, and let's keep trying kind of go through it, and we'll get into more detail. 2 tenons, and for the second wall of the tabernacle. Yisdos, which are like pegs. I always thought they were pins, pegs. V'letzela hamishkan hasheni. So this is the letters Yud, Vav, K, Hey, and it's going to represent a different month. It comes from this pasuk in Exodus, and he says that this is what it looks like, Yud Vav KK. This is the month of Gemini. Now, there are other places in the Zohar, perhaps here too. He's going to explain what the differences are between these, the effects, that's the effects. And all this worthless to me. Ze enenu shavali. This is not worth anything to me. He has these little balls here to indicate we're working on the first letter. I think that's what he means. This is a quote from the Megillah Esther, and now it's Hey Vav Ke Yud, which refers to Cancer. That's the way the light shines. Which is the Hebrew month of Tammuz. Be attentive and hear Yisrael this day. Haskes v'shma Yisrael hayom Ke Vav Yud Ke. That's a quote in Deuteronomy, and this is what a K Vav Yud Ke. Here it is right here. This is the light shining through this combination. This is the month of Leo, which is Av. And it will be a merit for us if. So he says this is, quote, V'tzedaka tihya lonos ki. So Vav, he has Vav, it's just a little bit different here. Vav K. Here he's going, I got it right now. Got it backwards. We're going in a different month. This is another letter. We're going with the last letters, which is K, Vav, Yud. K, Vav, Yud. It's a quote from Deuteronomy. This is the combination of letters that refers to Virgo, which is also the month of Elul. When the official of Pharaoh saw her, V'yara al sari paro. Once again, we're going to work with the last letters, which is going to be Vav, K, Yud, K. Vav, K, Yud, K, a quote from Genesis. This is the month of Libra, the shining, and it's also, in Jewish, it's Tishrei. A land flowing with milk and honey. This day Hashem, your God, commands you. V'devash hayom hazechet Hashem. So he said that is the honey of the honey. This is the commandment of Hashem. So he says Shin. So he has Shin, Mem, Hey. Now how does that get? Where's the Mem come in there? He says he did it differently. It's the first letters. It went back to the first letters, which is Vav, K, Yud. Vav, K, Yud. I have to figure it out. Sometimes it doesn't appear to me, so how he switches. So he says this refers to Scorpio, which is when it starts getting dark, Halloween time in America. The Hey KK Yud was Scorpio in the month of Cheshvan. When the Canaanites, inhabitants of the land, saw V'yara V'yoshve Haaretz Haknani. So here we have Vav Yud K. Vav Yud K from Genesis. This is the month of Sagittarius, which is in Hebrew is Kislev. Now, just a little bit more, and we'll go through this, and we'll get into detail with God's help. Then another pasuk, which says, declare the greatness of God with me in English. And it says, L'Hashem iti l'rom shaltov, and I will lift up his name. So he says, here we're going to take the last letters. I think that's what we're doing. K, Yud, K Vav. K Yud K Vav. It's a pasuk of the psalm. It refers to the month of Capricorn. Now, we may be able to learn some secrets in here about ourselves if we're interested in our own astrological signs and how they impact us, whether we're talking about the sun, the moon, or the rising signs, or the different powers of different planets and different houses. If he does substitute for it, then it and its substitute shall be holy. Hamar Yamareno v'hoyahu. Read it again. Hamar Yamane. This is talking about substitution, a tamura. Hamar Yamirando. So you certainly shall switch it. V'hoyahu, and then it will be. So he says, what? Take the first letters, Yud, K, Vav, K. K, Yud, Vav, K. And this is going to be from Leviticus, since that's what it looks like. K, Yud, Vav, K. This is what Aquarius looks like. It's in the month of Shvat, which is the month we're in now as I'm recording this. He will tie his donkey to the vine, Ira, B'Lisreka, B'nei Itanu. So here we have last letters. I think it's He, K, Yud, Vav. K, Yud, Vav. So that's a little introduction to some of these ideas. People have asked me before, why does it say, like in the Siddur Mount of Medavash, it shows you these ideas. Well, here it is right here. There is a cycle that goes along constantly, continuous cycles of how Hashem shines his light. It's not so simple because there's an astrology of an astrology of an astrology. You can get deeper and deeper into it. We'll get to more of it next time. This is Baruch Fleischman. I'm at the Tikkun elevator. Call up.